Hello everybody and welcome along to this edition of the Rebel Wide Ball. And again, COVID figures and vaccines seem to be dominating the news landscape. If we start with COVID, and do you really want to hear about it all again, all the indicators seem to be going the wrong way in terms of getting lifting of restrictions and, case numbers rising, the R number rising, and of course, one of the big indicators is the amount of traffic in our roads increased by 18% last week. So the reason the figures are rising, obviously, that people are meeting up a lot more. But it's interesting that, the government are going to come under fire no matter what they're going to do here. But it's amazing the same thing is happening in France, Germany, Italy, that figures are rising. And as we speak, we have the European ministers or the European leaders meeting to I suppose, to discuss some of the restrictions maybe, but also to discuss, which we come to know, the vaccine situation. Interesting too that NEFIT have decided, forget about this weekend, or forget about giving advice to the government or to the COVID committee in the government this Thursday or Friday. They're now going to do that on Monday, which obviously means that they have the weekend figures to play around with, and also maybe it cuts down something on speculation. As regards lifting restrictions, I can't see how they can lift any of them now. With case numbers rising, the 5k or the 20k or whatever it is, maybe construction. And then you have the school scenario, and some of you that have children at school will probably be aware that quite a number of primary schools, and maybe, primary schools in particular, maybe secondary schools as well, are advising students to take their books, copies, bios, whatever else they take home, because in the expectancy that schools won't resume after Easter. The exams, the state exams, are about to begin in terms of the orals, and they sorted out some issue as regards the perspex sheeting between the candidate and the examiner. And also the music exams seem to get underway, and they had to work out an issue as regards that the singing part of that exam, that the student will have to be at an angle to the examiner, and then some masks are going to be worn. Somebody did ask the question, would that apply to the wind instruments? I'm telling you, stuff that happens in this carry at this juncture, you can't legislate for it. Now, in terms of the vaccines, and I think at some future stage, that the story of what's happening about vaccines and their rollout will be the subject of several documentaries, several books. It's incredible. You had basically the massive row during the week between the UK and the EU, that you had some within the EU saying there should be an outright ban on exporting the vaccines that are made in the EU. They should be kept for their own people. Obviously, a number of leaders disagreed with this because it could lead to all sorts of issues. I mean, there are even some of the ingredients that are in the EU vaccines that may come from outside and not a mind, or the trade issues. Boris's gamble, and like this guy is gambling all the time, he decided that, he would give the one dose of the AstraZeneca, forget about the consequences where we're going to get the second dose. That might be coming back to bite him now a little bit. Then you had this Italian factory that was raided, if you like, or examined by EU officials during the weekend. They discovered 29, a handy number of vaccines hanging around the place, and 13 million of these were destined for the international COVAX scheme. Now, this is a scheme to help, to send vaccines to the poorer countries. And I mean, the World Health Organization and everybody seems to be hanging on to this. None of us vaccinated until everybody is vaccinated. Interestingly, though, the UK and the US have absolutely put nothing into this international fund. 16 million of these vaccines were for the EU. There's a suspicion, though, that some of the ingredients that were used in making these vaccines came from the Malex plant in the Netherlands, which has, as of yet, hasn't got approval from the European Medicines Agency. As to why that is the case, I honestly don't know. I suppose the good thing, though, that if you want to use that term, that the EU ministers, the EU leaders and Britain seem to be making peace, and they issued a joint statement last night. They're going to try to work out something that will be of benefit for all the citizens. We remain to be convinced of all that. The Leo leaking campaign is continuing. Sinn Féin are insisting that they're going to bring the high moral standards on Leo's moral compass. And of course, now this document that he leaked to his friend Matthew O'Toole, they're after getting another bit of information that in 2019, when he was the Taoiseach, that he was flying back into the country after some visit, and he ordered that a hard copy of the agreement be brought to the Balmoral airport to be in a car waiting for him so he could pick it up and pass it on. So that's not going to go away. Did he commit a crime? Well, it remains to be seen, but they're certainly not going to make it easy for him. Another thing we noticed, because of the figures rising, particularly in Dublin and Offaly, we now have these walk-in COVID-19 test centres, 4 of them in Dublin, and as I say, 1 of them in Tullamore. They're calling them pop-up COVID centres, and you know what? They're reminding me a little bit of these horse boxes that are popping up and operating as, I suppose, coffee outlets and whatever else you're having throughout the country. By all accounts, that to convert one of these horse boxes, now whether that's the cost of the horse box or not, that to get a right good one, it'll cost you 20 grand, and then you need a catch in here. Look, if anybody's out there and when they want to use the rebel wide ball, I think to be quite catchy for one of these. But fair play to they're mostly young entrepreneurs that are developing, saw an opening, and you can't drive 10 miles of the road now, and there's one of these in operation. Moving to sport, and you know, the World Cup started last night for us. We're in Group A of the for the World Cup qualifiers in Qatar, and in our group, basically, it's expected that Portugal will get the automatic space and a place, and that it'll be between Ireland and Serbia. They met last night. By the way, Portugal beat Azerbaijan. We're lucky to beat them by 1 goal. I think it was an own goal. Luxembourg didn't play because of Qatar. They don't have to qualify, and they're in our group as well. But anyway, Serbia and Ireland, and Ireland took the lead, and you know, it was a great goal from Alan Brown from Mahon here in Cork, and that was the first goal seemingly in 7 matches. The only other goal in Stephen Kinney's campaign was scored by Shane Duffy. So basically, then Serbia came back into the game, and there was a period when they were really playing absolutely top class. They went 3-1 up, and at that stage it was looking really dismal for Ireland. But Ireland pulled one back, and the guy that got the goal, James Collins, get a goal from he plays with Luton. In one sense, I think it was a good performance, and you know, people that follow soccer a lot closer than I do found it to be an entertaining game. That Ireland are playing a lot more entertaining football that happened in the past, and maybe they will point last night to an incident with Aaron Connolly, if you were watching, that maybe he should have got a penalty, and they have this new scheme, this new defensive system where they treat the back, and their goalkeeper, Mark Travers, only 21 years of age, and my God, what abuse he got last night in some forms of social media. It is incredible, this carry-on that goes on, 21 years of age, and okay, he made a bit of a positional error, if you could call it that, and I don't know, I just can't understand this, but look, that's international sport, and there are people out there that seem to, their day seems to be just criticising individuals. But it was a good performance, but they did lose. So in 9 games now, the Stephen Kinney seems to be a decent individual. And, I think everybody would love it. They could win a match from, but they will next Saturday when they play Luxembourg. Is 9 games played now, 5 lost and 4 draws. They're playing Luxembourg, and of course, this is a country which is about the third of size of Cork and a population of 625,000 people. So we expect when that game is played at 7:45 on Saturday evening that Ireland will pick up their first victory under Stephen Kinney, pick up valuable points. And there's a long way to go on this campaign yet. And like the Serbia team last night, if you know, for those of you who are close followers, a lot of their top players play in the big leagues in Europe. And I know there's a couple of premier players playing for Ireland. Quite a few of them were playing in the championship. So all in all, look, let's be quite honest about it. I thought it was a good performance by Ireland. Moving on to rugby, and after the heroics of last weekend and what an incredible victory was for Ireland over England, it's the Pro 14 finalists, another one of these meetings between Leinster and Munster. And whereas there was a time, up to 2010 where Munster were the dominant team, that's not the case anymore. And the last competition that they won was the Magners League that was played in 2011. And since then, Leinster have been dominant. You can see by their representation on the Irish team. They have beaten Munster on the last 5 occasions, 3 of them being semi-finals of this competition. But the last few matches, like they have gone close. Munster have, and I think they have a real good chance of winning this one. That goes on as well on a Saturday evening. That starts at 5 o'clock. For CJ Stander and Billy Holland, it will be their last Pro 12 game, or Pro 12 or Pro 14 game, before CJ goes off to South Africa, goes back home, and Billy Holland retires. But it will not be Munster's last game or Leinster's last game, because both of them play next weekend in the European Cup, which is, you know, a huge competition. Munster play Toulouse in that. Joey Carberry, it'll be interesting to know how he gets on. You know, he's considered by many as the successor to Johnny Sexton. So on paper, it would appear that, you know, Leinster have all the big players, but I think Munster of late have been improving. Well, when I say improving, have been becoming close to them, and you know, I think that, you know, that will be an interesting match, and you know, the best of luck to Munster taking in that particular game. Finally, as you know, we've been talking about the Rebel Wide Ball for quite a while. This is the new county board draw. It takes place tonight. Sorry, the draw for the months of January, February and March take place tonight. So there'll be 90 prizes. So the next time we speak, there'll be 90 people. Could be the same person, by the way, that will pick up valuable prizes. The top prizes tonight there's €20,000, so there'll be three €20,000. So best of luck to everybody who took part in that draw. And just to show you how things have changed, this is going to be live streamed by the Examiner Sports starting at 7:30. But in terms of figures of how the draw has turned out to be a success, last year there was about 15,000 people in it. Tonight they reckon that and you can still buy a ticket up to 5 o'clock on this Thursday evening, they reckon they could make 27,000. That's a huge increase. And last year the amount of money that went back to the clubs was roughly €683,000. They expect about 1.5 million to go back. Clubs have bought into it big time, and you know, the county board, two things I'll say about it: they engaged with the clubs. Somebody said that was about time they did that. They've learned a lot about the clubs, but let's hope it's not going to be the last time they just simply engage with all of these clubs out there. Quite a few of them, I've no doubt, you know, could do with a little bit of help from time to time. So if you have a ticket in that draw, the best look to in that, as I say, the draw starts tonight at 7:30. So yeah, until the next time, mind yourself and take care.